Good evening, morning, afternoon, whatever the Truman Show, introduction with Jim Carrey always gives is on that movie. That's what I was trying to replicate there a little bit. Good day to everybody wherever you're at, whatever time you're watching this. It is currently with me. This is the first live video I've done in a while. It is March 9th, 2021, year one. So we've dug into with the Batman comics as of late. You might see over here, we've got something to get into. Relating to these Batman comics, we're going to get into a preamble of a connection point that I'm making that is tying the larger arc of year one into the rituals we've already decoded in the last videos. If you have not watched those, you can actually go over to my YouTube page. These things are now posted over here. Should have had it pulled up more readily. But I've been posting, as people have been seeing over here, the Winter Solstice Reset ritual series, starting here with the Control Grid Network. It's a 15-part series ending a couple weeks back when we decoded the Batman stuff around the winter freeze, Valentine's Day power grid failure in Austin, Texas. And we're bridging that today, no pun intended, with the Bat Bridge and things that consist of this video. Into the next topics that we're going to start talking about in year one. Operation Cloverleaf is discussed in that last video. Go watch it to look at the weather modification stuff we're arguing for. But more importantly, what we found out in that video is we're coursing closer and closer to an event on August 2nd, potentially. That is something that we need to look at. That's what the comic book, remember, The Long Halloween, told us. And what this comic book here, The Haunted Night, is a follow-up to. So as you can see, there are going to be some memes that cross over. We're going to talk myth today. We're bringing Alice in Wonderland back into this. We're bringing Wizard of Oz back into this because through the mythos of Batman, we're connecting all of it. And as we've already talked about in videos that I've been doing since 2019, essentially, those are myths that underlie mostly everything that we're dealing with the illusory reality that is pervading over us right now. This is what the V is all about. Remember, everybody, it's the noose being corrupted by the senses. Everybody over on Theta joining. Hey, Rushi Corp. Glad to see you. We are, anyway, going to bridge those topics from the Batman rituals of ancient Maya, which go back to this video here, of course, and why they matter for the reset of a calendar, the calendar man from The Long Halloween. These are all themes, guys. These are all memes wrapped in themes, consisting of myths and packaged as steganography. And the V shows us what's apparent to what's really running through all of these as subtext, right? But anyway, just kind of getting you guys up to speed because today we're going to dive into some of that material, but also get back into the Mars suppositions and also share some recent insights that I have had the pleasure of learning from other YouTubers and such to show how really, truly deeply this steganography is going. So by the end of tonight, we're just setting a new stage, guys. This is very much a transition video. I don't plan on it being one of my longer ones. But as we're tying some knots together from previous videos, I'm showing further support for what we've already talked about with the winter solstice stuff and more arguments as to what the hell is going on in terms of the space race, the financial collapse, and why does Mars have anything to do with it, with both finance and our history mystery, right? So that's kind of how we're building this video. Again, anybody watching live on YouTube, I already said this before we started the stream, of course, but save the link if you want to watch this later or share it later, because I'm going to unlist it and have it specifically for patrons, and we're going to go back to that format for a while I also give the YouTubers some new shorter presentations. I'm going to be doing some YouTube-specific stuff, as it were, to plug those gaps. But anyway, as we solve more riddles, anticipate the playlists populating later in the year like they did these last couple weeks as we build our case over on Patreon. Therefore, you can always go support us over here on Patreon at the $5 level. You actually gain access to the Discord server where we have all these conversations, lurking is free. Anybody can ever go in there and look at what we're talking about. But to contribute, you got to be a patron. And then to partake in the research, of course, the $15 level gets you access to my Evernote research library over here that is very deep and is a supplement to use the V-steganography on to figure out more mysteries and such. So anyway, that's kind of what everybody probably now understands after having seen a lot of my content here over the last couple weeks. I anticipate that our audience will grow a little bit as we actually dive into doing some of this research. But some interesting goings on just in terms of the last couple weeks, right? We don't have much to speak on, in my eyes, in terms of developments in the government or political realm. It's very strange. This dark winter thing that pervades over all. Let me pull that thing up. I've got the Dark Winter exercise, of course, the war game exercise that was popularized over the course of these last 6 months after Biden said it in one of the debates. Not only do we have this, but we've got Biden yesterday forgetting his spell of the Pentagon. This is something I need to pull up. Biden forgetting the Pentagon. I don't know if anybody saw this. This is a Snopes article. I don't see this. So, Defense Secretary Austin. This is where we're starting. This is the landscape of our world right now, and how spot on we are that these pentagonal-based V-steganography laden rituals relating to the senses, relating to the illusion that is this world. He forgot the name of Lloyd Austin. Think Austin, Texas, right? The Bat Bridge. That's where the Bat Bridge was. This is where the weather reset ritual occurred the heaviest. And we have last night, Mr. Biden here, Mr. whatever you want to call him, forgetting the name of the Pentagon and the defense secretary of said building, Lloyd Austin. Austin and Pentagram or Pentagon, right? What do we remember about WrestleMania, guys? WrestleMania is coming up. Do I have the logos? I thought I had the logos for the WrestleMania. WrestleMania 37 and 38 is what I'm going to put in logos. WrestleMania is coming up here in April. Amidst all of it, as we've been talking about, remember the pentagram for Dallas, it being hosted there next year. This stuff's all connected, and Biden forgetting the spell, basically forgetting how to cast the spell. I don't know what's going on here, but whatever it is, the magic is either purposefully fumbling through to cause even more chaos somehow, or they're literally this bad at it now. I just wanted to point at this. Yes, the ritual is in play. Astrology factors into it. We've talked about this. We're going to watch a couple of Joni Petrie videos, in fact, tonight to show through this again. But there's a recent phrase that I've been hearing more people come by, and it goes always something like this, like the audio isn't matching the visual of whatever's going on. I just want people to think through this, right? This is part of what we've come so far improving already with these winter solstice reset rituals, why August 2nd is so important, and why I'm actually think if I can do this, if I can bring it up, I'm going to show this in a comment. Can I? What I'm going to do here is see if I can show this in a comment, because there's a brilliant comment that I was just chatting with one of my followers before the stream even began, and it was in relation to here it is, the 8-2. Okay. So I pulled it up here. So this is a comment that I'm going to talk about in a second relating to the Batman stuff. But it's the rituals, guys. It's the calendar of the gestation period of this ritual having started on the winter solstice last year, right? It's what most of the watchers tonight probably know by this point, having now watched the whole series up to this. And we're watching out for key dates. It's a different way to decode things. And I know actually we've got a lot of new followers and such that came over from my attempt to connect with Zach Hubbard on his radio show that it didn't go as well as I thought it was going to because of, I don't know, whatever reasons they were. I was only hoping to collaborate with the guy. But I'll call in again some other time, somewhere down the road. And I'm happy to see a lot of people actually, our work resonated with them with the steganography sense. But I hope you guys are seeing this is just a different way to use and analyze our natural environment in this materium, whatever it is, to overcome these mind control spells that are on us, right? So it's utterly important that that we keep our eyes on specific key dates, just to keep an eye out for. And we're talking about like in Long Halloween. Have a couple other ones too, as you recall. Let me put the camera on those again. Boot up here we go. The calendar man also pointed out in year one to look out for Secretary's Day, Earth Day, Flag Day, Boxing Day, and Hanukkah. So as a manner of speaking, maybe it's wise for us to look out for Earth Day 2021, April 22nd. Secretary's Day, I think, was already in February. No, it was April 21st. That's what it was. So this is why it's becoming pretty interesting to me. Because on on April 10th and 11th that WrestleMania takes place this year. April 10th and 11th. So we've got this like 10-day period here that I think are significant to even the two calendar day dates that are back to back, Wednesday and Thursday, 21st and 22nd. By the way, these are not always congruently in line with each other. I checked into this. Another hit as to why this Long Halloween book is actually pointing to year one when he's saying that. So we need to look out for this period of time around WrestleMania because it looks like there's going to be more Super Bowl-esque allotments of decoding to be done on this, just to say the least. But here, let me go back to the book, show you that Earth Day, Flag Day, Boxing Day, and Hanukkah. Boxing Day 2021. That's going to be December 26th, the first the day after Christmas. I should have known that. That one's an easy one. What was the other one? Oh, Flag Day. It's all about the flag. What's Flag Day this year? June 14th. Okay. So we have these other dates, April 21st, April 22nd, June 14th, and then our mystery date of August. So we've got June 14th again for Flag Day right here. I'll just highlight that. We've got April 22nd, which is Earth Day. We've got Wednesday, April 21st, which is Secretary's Day. And we also have our mystery day, remember, 8/2 that we're looking out for. So given that, we can now go, where did I place it? Back to, yeah, I'm just going to go like this. There it is. Forgot where I put it. So Stella for Star posted this, and also let me give the opportunity back over to just a cat mom. I don't know if this is you or not. just a cat, Mom? I don't think it is. But you said you had also looked into 8.2, and I would be interested into your notes on 8.2 as well. If you want to type some of those over into Theta, I'll see if I can get to those as well. But here's what Stella for Star said. I thought this was interesting, of course, because as everybody recalls in this novel here of The Long Halloween, the Roman Falcone was, of course, the one who was the villain who was at the center of the whole Harvey Dent crime. Remember, also Harvey Dent was called Apollo in this. But Stella says she found something about the date 8.2 using the Roman holiday as the reference point. She said, this is very interesting to me. Maybe I can let's actually zoom in so you guys can see this even better. How about that? Yeah, 200%. That's probably good. Okay. So now you guys can even wait. Wait a second here. Did it just break? Or did my my comment section just go away? Zoomed in too far. There it is. Okay. 175 is the farthest we can go. Okay. Roman holiday, 8.2. This is something I found interesting to me, she says. Or he says. I guess I don't know. As I used to do ancient Roman reenactment, and they do everything by the numbers. So I knew there had to be something there. There's no counterpart for 8.2 in the Roman holiday festival schedule because they don't really do anything on the 2nd of any month. I didn't know this. I looked it up. Sure was the case. This was very interesting to me. They usually go for the calends 1, 9s, or Ides, or nuns, which is 9, or Ides, which is the 15th. The Ides of March, right? That's coming up here in just a week. So I translated the date 8.2 to the Roman calendar. 8.2.2021 in Gregorian is equivalent to our July 20th of 2021. So there's yet another date maybe that we have to look into because Julian Day was the name of the calendar man in our Batman novel. The Julian calendar, right? Was what Stella, just guessing, is what Stella is referring to. July was known as Quintilius in the Roman calendar. And on the 20th to the 30th of this month, the Ludi Victoriae Caesaris games of, or in our English translation, our games of the Victorious Caesar, were held beginning in 45 AD. I don't know if the 45 is significant. Remember, Trump is 45th president, and 45 comes up all over our gematria. When we run gematria numbers on the reset, 45 is very prevalent. Number 45 ended the Super Bowl with an interception, remember, et cetera, et cetera. In this context, but during the celebration, we also have on the 22nd of the month, that number is significant because V is the 22nd letter of the alphabet, V steganography. The anniversary of the Temple of Concord at the foot of the state is at the foot of the state capitol. So maybe the way to interpret the 8.2 date is as a victory lap for people involved in the birthing ritual that started at the Capitol, right? Because it's at the foot of the Capitol, it comes full circle, the gestation ends back to technically the beginning, right? It's a good way to interpret it. I really liked this. Perhaps a celebration of victory over 45, the chaos of the 1-6 ritual and the capital ritual in 1-6 and the institution of NWO or whoever they are. So the Gregorian date of 8.2 relates to the Roman date of 720. Remember 72 as well, everybody. 72 also relates to the pentagram. So the pentagram, let me get my ugly mug out of here. The pentagram, of course, has the 72 degrees, the 108 degrees, and 36 degrees that are significant, plus phi, to its angular structure, right? But 7.2 or 720 both have numerology consistent with that 72-degree angle. So it's interesting that lines up as well with the pentagram magic. Also, interesting to connect this to Zach's video where Boris Johnson mentions the 31st of July this year as the goal date for the shots, as this date would mark the end of the Ludi Victoriae Caesaris. Interesting. All related to this calendar, man? Year one thing? I don't know. There are consistencies here that I was looking up for myself after hearing some of this stuff. I always love it when you guys leave comments like this because they're enlightening to me. I can't look everywhere all at once, and this is how I learn stuff. So, Operation Warp Speed being the work of the American Caesar, number 45, then hitting the shot goal of, we're talking about the puncture, the puncture with the stuff that kills the specimen, would mark the end of the games of the president, if that makes sense. So is Donald Trump, number 45, still involved in this, right? As the end of this Caesaris game. And why did Joni Petrie also, I think, correctly read into his birth chart and say, wow, like all of a sudden in March, the end of March, I think is what she said, after the Ides of March, he would be coming into power again somehow. What does that even mean? I think it has to do with the age of Leo, of course, we've talked about, but we'll get further into that later in the video. Now, this gets even more interesting when I looked at the Temple of Concord. There were several of these built throughout the years, and most were done to bring peace between the plebeians and the Senate. Us, and, of course, the government, as it would be put, were the plebeians. Or it was to be rebuilt because someone didn't follow the proper social order. Someone built the temple without consulting the Senate before they'd made the proper partition rank. Consuls prevented the election of magistrates, etc. This part about the final building of the temple seemed quite interesting in light of recent events. So, it goes on to describe. The murder of Gaius Gracchus in 121 BC marked a low point in the relationship between the emerging Roman aristocracy and the Popular Party. It was immediately followed by the reconstruction of the Temple of Concord by Lucius Opimius at the Senate's behest, which was regarded as an utterly insincere attempt to clothe its actions as symbolic act of reconciliation. So we have a Senate body looking at reconciling with the public, who's exposed their lies is what's going on, to paraphrase, right? Does that sound familiar to what's going on right now? Is this interesting at all that 8-2 lines up with the reset ritual and a populace that's exposing their government structure for what it is? So we'll get, so anyway, here's something else interesting about the temple. It housed the Arval Brethren, a group of 12 priests that had existed before the founding of Rome, and they were in charge of the worship of Dia. Don't know any of this. This is all new to me. I have to look into both of these things. Because this is an ancient fertility goddess aligned with Maya and Ceres. Remember, Ceres is one of the moons of Saturn as well, is what it's labeled as. So maybe they're connected. The Druids, and the ceremony will be even more insulting to the other faction. And then she just puts, I don't know. Stella, please correct me if you're, I shouldn't assume. But Stella puts in the gematria values here. 223 is interesting, of course. The 137, the 187. So this is interesting because there were a lot of 11s during the inauguration ritual this year. Also, Gaius Gracchus was a populace who, along with his brother, passed many laws that were popular with the plebeians, but not the patricians or the Senate. Lucius Opimius was a tribune who was responsible for repealing many of his laws and turning the Senate against him. Him being, of course, Gracchus. So if I had to make an analogy to the American politics, Gracchus is Trump and Opimius is Pelosi, or whoever you might ascribe, right? And Plutarch claims that Gracchus's actions so upset the Senate that during this third campaign for tribune, he won the popular vote. But the tribunes were so upset that they falsified the ballots. Oh my goodness. There's the other thing, right? Falsifying the ballots. Nothing new under the sun, as King Solomon said, right? Oh my goodness. We're sitting here creating the sins of our past all over again because we're caught in the spell of the senses, guys. Break free of this, right? Let's use this opportunity to not repeat this crap and to make mind of this stuff when it comes across us and when we're all connecting dots together. Again, that's what makes the Discord community so awesome, so bitchin', as it were. I mean, you have a bunch of people coming over here, even just lately, just to look and learn. It's exactly what I wanted to create out of this. But I mean, however we get this information surfaced, whether it's by YouTube comments or Discord, this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about in Discord, though. And I can't, again, be everywhere at once, but we sure as hell are putting these pieces together of our past, what the context is, how to better look at those memes. And again, V-steganography is all at the heart of it. It's all we do is apply that. Sure enough, the senses get released of the spell. There's something to this. What is that V, right? There's going to be a connection point on that after this too. According to Plutarch, Gracchus had this to say while praying for the temple of Diana before he died. Guys knelt and prayed to the goddess, asking that the people of Rome be forever enslaved by their masters, since many had openly and quickly switched sides when an amnesty was declared by the Senate. Sounds familiar. This all seems like so much theater. So, and this is the problem with spells, guys, is they're freaking theater. I mean, look at the playbook, would you? Right? I know you guys are, actually. You guys are really looking at the playbook, but Stella also posts an addendum, says if 8-2 is the death of Falcone the Roman in this, it also ties into Gaius Gracchus and the brother Tiberius, who had been a populist reformer. According to many historians, the death of the brothers Gracchi marked the beginning of the end of the Roman Republic. And there's your connection to, again, the fall of the empire, the fall of the Roman Empire, the fall of the Second Roman Empire. So partially, now, this is where we have to look at this with a critical eye. Part of this is the other faction that was putting this theater on in the first place being so bad at the magic, maybe, that it's coming apart. But maybe it's also this other winter solstice ritual that we've already decoded by the serpent faction against the eagle faction. Is it just so well designed and they are so well tuned in with the Christ consciousness and the clicking into this age of Leo that, it's just really easy. It's just child's play to deal with the other faction, the eagle faction spells. I'm starting to think this maybe be a part of it. And then, there it is. Just a cat mom. I verified that's you. Thank you so much for that, Just a Cat Mom /Stella. I had a feeling it was you. I should have just gone with the intuition and just looked over on Theta. It does look like you verified that there. So anyway, guys, everybody, very cool stuff. That's the top comment on our last video, the Long Halloween. Again, if you haven't watched that, it would very much behoove you to do so, because it leads into kind of what we're talking about tonight. So where did I want to go with this? There was a connection point down here. Where was I going to go with this next? Oh, so the other thing we have to take into consideration here is that since the spells that are being cast from the past are being surfaced through the myth, we have to set our minds straight again back to my original intention around starting YouTube videos, was to decode memetics in the first place. Memetics, just clearly, demonstrably proving the through lines so that we could uncoil our minds from this stuff. But with certain things happening within the other faction, what kind of a thing is this Daft Punk deal throwing in, right? This is one of these hinky deals that we're going to get to tonight, because it connects with the idea of luck. Get lucky, the silver collapse, the symbology in what happened with this video goes so much further beyond what anybody said about it, I think, at this point. And that's what we're going to discuss a little bit tonight. But I want you guys also to have a framework for what V is from another perspective. From, I think some of you probably know this guy, Zenith of the Alpha. He commented on one of my videos not too long ago, like a week ago. And he was showing me what he'd found out similarly with the V steganography and not really known like a construct to ascribe to it. So this is a very interesting piece relating to this whole reset ritual that further corroborates where we have already come to. Another corroboration point that I want to share. And then also expose people to this guy, Zenith of the Alpha, if they haven't. But remember, luck is the thing that we're talking about with Daft Punk, Get Lucky, the cover of the 2021 Economist with the slot machine, the casino gulag, as Max Kaiser calls our country. Anyway, these are all factoring in. So before we get any further, though, remember, let's set our minds straight. New Jerusalem was begun in 1776. The 13 colonies where the original 13 colonies were established, the land area that they occupied, rather, equaled that of the square footage of what New Jerusalem's footprint would be, almost exactly. You had the relics coming over that the Templars had dug up in the Crusades after they broke away from the Vatican. Bring those over to install them here somehow. They had ancient records of when they came here, as early as the 1300s, all of the ancient sites pre-Atlantis. The Templars started creating relationships with the locals, and these were our Irish, of course, ancestors that were of the Druid faction originally. The ones that had a differing opinion from the Eagle faction, the Nazi faction. They donned the serpent. The Nazis donned the eagle. We know this now. But this serpent faction founded our United States with a rune stone up in Minnesota, right? So all of this has gone on. And the picture of whatever the Templars are constructing with the ritual is very clear. And it's one that already has taken hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years by the time New Jerusalem, the United States of America, was founded in 1776. But we've been able to identify, remember everybody, the V steganography apparent in all of this. Again, I just have to go back and point you to my channel. Let me just go back to 100% so it's not overpowering. But over on my channel, now that we've got all of these videos up, the V steganography, starting right here, really, with the New Jerusalem concept and forward. Well, again, that's why I pushed the whole playlist. It's the whole playlist. But the V steganography led us, as the cipher, to confirm our findings of what was happening here beyond what the senses could understand. Remember, the fifth element, the five senses. 5 is the number of man. We've been taught through the megalithic system that 52 is even significant to this. It's the reverse of 5 times 5, but it's also 5.2 feet is the average gait of a human pace. V and lambda, the inverses of each other. What do they have in common in addition? Let's watch Zenith of the Alpha's video. That's the setup from our work. And while we're watching this, I'll catch up on what you guys are saying over on YouTube and respond appropriately. Hold on. Seem to have... There we go. It was muted somehow. Here we go.
This video is about opposing forces, duality, reflections, inversions, things of this nature. And oftentimes, Throughout this video, I'll be displaying some images that suggest these themes. For instance, at the top of the screen right now, you see analog clocks. Well, if you look at advertisements for analog clocks, or you go to the store at the clock aisle, a lot of times the analog clocks are set to the same time. The hands are pointed at 10 and 2. 10 is kind of like the opposite position of the 2. 10 p.m., if you think about it this way, 10 p.m. is 22 hours into the day. And we're going to relate this to numbers of America. Well, George Washington's birthday is often celebrated on 2/22. We're going to talk about the letter V, which is the 22nd letter of the English alphabet. And the English letter V is basically an inverted Greek lambda. I'm showing a lambda off to the left, and it's not just because lambda is helping me out with this.
So check it out, guys. He's even talking very much like we do about the lambda having a relationship somehow to the V and the inverse quality of the spell being cast. Pretty cool, huh? I'll let him continue.
This ties in with related videos about the magic square based around the number 176. Now, real quick, 176 in a way can connect with the 10 and 2. If you push the 10 and 2 together, you get 102. 17 times 6 is 102. Donald Trump was asked that question on Howard Stern. I just found this out. I did my video connecting the 176 magic square to Donald Trump, and I'll leave links in the description box, but I did some searching and found that Howard Stern asked his family this question: what's 17 times 6? What a random question, right? Well, anyway.
But he's catching on to all the things we do. Remember, he's a pattern recognizer, this guy. He's a pattern recognizer, and I love him. I love him for it. Guys, look at this chart. Just look at the 22, the 11, the 88. Remember our 88. These are all of our 88s from the Batman Long Halloween. 22, of course, is V steganography incarnate. V is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. We are 12, 21 next to each other in the magic square with the relationship with the V steganography. 12, 21, of course, the winter solstice reset ritual. So 52 is here, 25. We have 55. Remember the Super Bowl 55. These are all of our same numbers. If you go back through, he's actually unbeknownst to what he's even doing here, matched up more basis of understanding. I didn't have any idea about this magic square stuff, but just look at the gematria and numerology values as it relates to the winter solstice reset ritual and what the V steganography portends to tell us. I went more into that in my previous videos. We don't need to go into those gematria tables. It's just look at numbers like this is. But this becomes a little bit more interesting as it persists, because listen to what he's saying as it pertains to what this magic square is and why it's so special.
He's connecting this to the magic square, and if you didn't see that video, I'll just go over it real quick. There's a magic square where all the rows, columns, and diagonals sum to 176. So at the top row, 25 plus 18 plus 51 plus 80.
So there's your first connection. The sum of all the rows equals the 1776. So I'll just let him continue.
You get 176. You get the same thing. Pick any row, any column, any diagonal. You get the same number, 176. But what's special about this particular magic square is that if you flip it upside down, if you see how the numbers are written like this with the block-like numbers, flip it upside down. See, 82 upside down would be obviously a 28. You'd still get the same result. If you view this in a mirror, the magic square in a mirror, You can still get the same result. All the columns, diagonals, rows. 176.
Why is this important to us, guys? Remember, because of the V steganography is why. Remember, this is the same with the lambda and the V. It has the same relationship. This magic square table, as it relates to the mathematics of it, it's the same relationship of inversion. You can use one or the other to counteract the other, but you can also ascribe different polarity of meaning to either one. So the magic table and the numerics associated with the V steganography are a lattice work in this matrix, it seems, at a much deeper level than I even thought. And it's no wonder why it friggin' works so well. Anyway, continuing.
We can connect this with the year of foundation for the United States of America.
Year of
1776.
foundation.
We'll get to that in a little
The
bit.
beginning of New Jerusalem.
But keep in mind, these are numbers that can be flipped or viewed in a mirror. So I'm talking about the magic square based around 176. And I was typing these opposing words like life and death, feasting and fasting, the first and last, rich and poor, give and get, life and death, left and right, fire and water. I think I said life and death. I'm not sure if that's in there, but notice this list here. Now, I'm assuming you know about gematria and the different ciphers. I'm not going to stop to explain which cipher or when I used a capital letter or not. And if you're one of those people that nitpicks and says, why'd you capitalize the first letter of life and the first letter of death? Whatever. I think it's legit, and you know what? If you skip this video, you're missing out. It's another few examples. Someone might call this a stretch, but if you put the words together.
So are you seeing what he's building a case for now here with the very 776 that the V and the lambda equate to at the beginning? It's hidden in this magic square. These are opposites. These are polar opposites. Remember what the goal of the serpent faction is to balance both opposites. The gematria itself is showing this, and he's Zenith the Alpha is doing a brilliant example of giving a laundry list of these of cases where this balance is being achieved by the very nature of how the language is tuned. This is the case that we've been building all along, pretty much, for this the V steganography showing something both in a harmonic nature, a symbolic nature, metaphysical nature. It transcends the senses. Remember, it's everything outside the senses. And these things can only be achieved if you're focusing outside your senses. Funny, huh?
Together, these opposing words like black and white, you get 176. Now, you don't use the word and. I put a ampersand. We could put a plus sign. You don't have to put anything. Just black, white, 176. Jesus, Lucifer, 176. But if we include the word and, give and get, 176. Women and men, 176. I included a couple of 1076s, north, south, 1076, right and wrong, 1076.
All connected to the V and the lambda both. Remember this. All of this leads back to that as, I don't know what you want to call it, the Rosetta Stone of it all. It's pretty much what it is.
There's even a 1760 in the mix here. Using the prime cipher, the magic square sums to 176 equals 1760. Drop the 0, we get 176. Shout out to Sriracha for that find. Lambda did some stuff on this. I'll leave a link for his video. But he showed in his video the 10 different ways you can get 176. Columns, rows, a couple of diagonals there. 176. So times the 10 variations plus the 16 cells, or the number boxes. So we got 176 times the 10 plus 16. We get 1776. You guys got to see Lambda's video about a location called American Square. It's amazing. Well, anyway,
And we'll save that for a different video. He did link it down here. Lambda's videos over here. And I did watch this one too. But actually need to subscribe to him. Yeah, because they're one and the same with us. Some fellow V steganography folks, guys. Zenith of the Alpha and this Lambda 115. Pretty interesting stuff. But it's connecting. This is the thing. This is going to have a profound effect on us if we can really get to the bottom, which we already pretty much have. I think assigned an appropriate direction to find out for ourselves where that path leads. We're on the right path, I guess. It's maybe a better way to put it. Is what I'm pointing at here as I fall on these guys doing similar work. It just points to the validity that we've got with our own guys. So with that being said, where do I want to go with this next? We covered Batman, the preamble to that. Oh, it's the Daft Punk stuff. That's what we're talking about. Here we go. So Daft Punk. Everybody knows that this thing occurred. The group broke up. Daft Punk epilogue. We're not going to do any gematria on this because people have done that already to death. But we are going to pull it up, and I'm going to pause it, bring it over here. And first of all, the V steganography, February 22nd. February 22nd. Interesting, right? What we were talking about being a significant day for us to decode. In the video, the two guys, they meet each other, and the silver guy keeps walking, and he's got, check it out, a bomb that goes off that starts to tick up, to tick down. And once it ticks down, boom, he blows up. Okay, silver blows up. Right? Silver blows up. So we also have a connection with this in last year's Super Bowl ritual. Super Bowl halftime show 2020. Here it is, the halftime show. This point right here, we've got the flowers and the road to Ruta. And then we have the Emerald City. Remember, silver comes in with the Emerald City in the Oz ritual. And silver goes to the top. Crucified at the top. So we have the crucifixion of silver. Then we have the road to Ruta. Wishes and Rainbows Flowers with the Oz ritual coming out and dancing. And then silver is boosted up onto a pedestal again. And ultimately, we had the... Well, I have a video I did on this. I forgot where the floor came out. Oh, here it was. There it was. Floor falls away at some point as well and reveals the Tesla technology. This is where we were talking about the Tesla tech being part of the future with after silver fell. So we have these markers that we've already decoded for ourselves. And Daft Punk was a marker of sorts. So a couple of things that I didn't see anybody talk about yet pertaining to this. Again, the get lucky aspect. As you recall, the get lucky aspect as it pertains to the Great Reset and the slot machine get lucky of 2021 and the cover of The Economist, the collapse of the banking system. This connects back, of course, to the 1988 cover, which we've talked about so many times with the Eagle faction and the burning money. I don't need to pull that up again for anybody. We've seen it. We know. But the economists cover as a part to play with the iconography at work in our collective consciousness. So silver blowing up is going to happen as a forecast. What's going to happen with the Tesla tech after after that occurs, as the Super Bowl ritual shows us? I don't know. But I do know that 2 days later, after this video, Fed lockup. Let's just look that up. Who's even reporting on this thing? Fed transfer. So it was the Fed transfer system lockup. I might even have to just go to Zero Hedge for this one. Zero Hedge may be the only one that... Here it was. Fox Business reported on it. Good old Fox faction reports on it. Of course they have to. So this happens. Of course. 2 days after Daft Punk released this video. On the 24th, the Federal Reserve payment system crashed and had to restore service hours later. This got by a lot of people. It didn't make a huge splash. It made a huge splash in communities that I follow because I am into all things related to empire collapse and see the markers and want to analyze these things. But this thing wasn't widely reported on. The Fed transfer system going down was a huge deal, though, everybody. This meant that if it would have stayed down, paychecks couldn't have been cashed, stimulus checks couldn't have reached their destination, because everybody gets also paid with direct deposit. It's the same thing. Wire transfers can't happen. Zelle, forget about it. All of your convenient PayPal services and Venmos and, you name it. Toast. They weren't working. None of them were for a couple hours on the 24th. People chalked it up to inconvenience. Oh, my internet went out or something. But this was a big deal. Somehow it got turned back on. Well, what else do we know about the reset scenario? It's tied to our friend Satoshi Nakamoto and Bitcoin, right? Do I even have those up here right now? No. So we're going to start over. Reset this whole thing. We're going to type it up. Give you guys a refresher. Satoshi Nakamoto and Alan Greenspan. Right? Here we go. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to see the V steganography apparent. The connection with both of them. 55, remember, was even in Zenith of the Alphas. Magic Square that we're having related to the V, and the 176. But 224 is also demarcated in both Alan Greenspan and Satoshi Nakamoto, who Alan Greenspan is part of the collective of. This was February 24th, 224, that this was orchestrated to happen. Alan Greenspan was originally the one, as you know, maybe not. My followers would know this over on the Patreon side of the channel, so I just take that phrase for granted, I guess. But if you don't know it, here you go. Alan Greenspan blamed himself for the Y2K virus because of the programming language that he had installed into the back end of the finance system and basically wrote the first code base of it. Beck-Swear's research shows all this. But if he also was blaming himself for Y2K, fixed that virus situation, what does he currently have play over in the way the system functions if he also invented it and knows all the ins and outs? Yeah. Have to sneeze. Excuse me, everybody. That just came out of nowhere. Targeted attack. I'm too close to the truth. They're sending the government sending their sneezing agents after me. Damn it. Anyway, that's what I'm getting at here is if you're not drawing the conclusion for yourself, what I suspect is this could be very closely related to this 224 alignment. And Alan Greenspan being involved in some way in bringing this down purposefully. Trial run for a bigger reset? I don't know. But this kind of just snuck right on everybody's noses. And Silver right now, the breaking of the Silver, of course, as it relates to Daft Punk, is going to be tremendously painful for industry and such that need this, but a huge boon for us in terms of establishing fair value on all this. But with Silver exploding, as in the Daft Punk video, how lucky will you be? Well, that's determined on how much you know, right? Remember back a couple videos ago when I introduced everybody with the comic book character Domino from Marvel. It's not Batman. We'll get to that. But the comic book character Domino is all about luck. Her superpower is probability alteration, psionics, hand-to-hand combat, superior marksmanship, and telekinesis. And remember, she was trained by the Arma Jesuits. Her abilities manifested at the age of 13. Her abilities manifested at the age of 13. So, with that in mind, remember Donald Trump said to wish good luck, a very important word, to Biden upon leaving office. A very important word, he emphasized, luck. Get lucky. Get lucky is the name of that last hit video that Daft Punk had. Luck. It's all related to this reset. It started with the V and Saturn and Jupiter conjoining on the 21st of last month. Anyway, we're looking at Labor Day, remembered as well, and we're looking at the 2nd. But other than that, everybody, here's what else we need to keep an eye on. Some astrology predictions from Joni. Then we'll get back to the Silver stuff. But some astrology predictions from Joni pertaining to March 2021 that haven't manifested yet. We're still too early in the month. But listen to what she's got to say. Actually, she's going to be going over more of why Venus is involved in all of this too. It's V-steganography responsive is what this is about as well. But this is all in the year of, I'm almost tempted to call this the year of V. The year of V, but the year of V to me really kicked off on July 7th of last year when Venus passed through Taurus too. So I don't know, everybody. Just watch what she's got to say and we'll go from there.
Farmers, all of that needs help, and that will be a focus, especially in this month. So by March 25th, this is going to be where we have Venus Cassimi the Sun. I know you've heard me talk about Cassimi lately. Cassimi is when a planet comes together exactly with the sun, except for, remember, the moon is not included. That will just represent a new moon. But when Venus comes together, Cassimi, everything to do with Venus will be out there, but only for a day or two. And that happens to be the 25th of March. It'd be a great day to make some kind of business transactions, but don't have it overflow in the next few days after, because that's when Venus is combust the sun. So it like comes into alignment exactly, they say, in the heart of the sun. That's Cassimi. And that day annihilates the combustion, and everything to do with Venus just pours out. But realize that Venus is the dispositing planet of Mars and Rahu. And as Venus explodes with this brightness, something will happen. Something big is about to happen around the 25th, 26th.
So we have the 25th, 26th to target as well. Maybe I'll add that to the days up here. March 25th. All right, just put these in order so we can go over them. I don't need to do that. let's just get back to the video. I don't need to go off course and catalog these. Add March 25th to the dates that we were looking at earlier, the April 21st and 22nd, the April 10th and 11th, those things. But what she's saying, guys, is Venus combust leads into this, the very, very, or Cassimi leading into combust, is this very short portal opening, essentially, of the energy of Venus being the most potent to pour out, to pour all out. And so if we're overcoming the V on our noose, Venus is passing through to enlighten whatever conditions are going to preside over this. Remember, this is also when it seems Donald Trump's own astrology signs come into power. So we have him, we have the age of Leo beginning, we've got, the year of Venus after transiting through the horns of Taurus last year. Now it's going to go Cassimi right around these same dates. This is going to be interesting. The whole multi-tiered secret structure that is all tied up into this is nuts to me. But it sure is cool that it's all lining up, right? She's got a couple more minutes of this video, and then I'm going to move for a couple minutes of another one for an event that has already passed, but that we should be also keeping in mind.
On those days, give or take, within that week, watch how things explode. Because this Venus and this Cassimi brings together just this amazing event. And I want to say that this has a lot to do with the financial markets and money. There's probably going to be a stock or something that explodes. I'll keep a watch on which one it could be, in a good way, only for a few days. Similar.
So what could that be? Silver? Is it a stock or something, she said, that explodes? She used the word explodes. You see why I posted this? Hilarious, right?
To the Cassimi that was happening with Jupiter during the time of GameStop. We can have another explosion like this.
Silver's the candidate.
So by March 26, as I said over and over again, that is the Mars conjunct Rahu. And this is the event that will flavor this entire month with explosions and transformations, and most of all, revelations that expose the truth. By March 28th, I noticed that we will have the full moon in Virgo. And this full moon will actually be in the nakshatra Hasta, which is the hand. And it means to grasp and hold on to things. The moon actually does very, very well in that nakshatra because it's ruled by the moon. But what does this mean for us all? Virgo's all about health and healing. And remember, I've been talking about all the exposures and things that are surfacing this month. Well, this tells me we will know where and what this coronavirus is all about. It's coming up to the surface. Listen, pay attention. The news is out there. And more than anything, this promotes a major healing of this coronavirus as we become more aware in what is going on.
We'll stop there. The coronavirus stuff doesn't pay too much mind to what we're going through today. But anyway, the rest of what she has to say here as pertains to the full moon, which happened on another significant day to Pythagoreans. The reason why this is significant is the full moon happened on Pi Day, one of the Pi days. 3/14, technically coming up here, is what they traditionally refer to as Pi Day, because 3.14, right, March 14th. But we also have February 27th also being really significant, which was when this full moon, which we passed by, had happened. Is 22 divided by 7 equals 3.14. And the rest of the digits too. It's the approximation of pi. So it's a division problem it's not even an approximation. It's a very close approximation. But February 27th or 227. Time you see this, this also has significance to the V spells that are happening. Slick Dissident says V22 E equals 5, 225 day orbit around the sun, Venus. Yes. Yes, 225 is actually a significant number to Venus as well, Slick Dissident. You're right. I've actually pointed that out in the episode structure of Star Trek. The most significant episode to V steganography in all of the Star Trek seasons is season 5, episode 25, which was denoted as episode 225 or something like that in the... No, it was actually episode 125. But 225 had significant numerology around that episode or something like that. But yes, 225 plays significantly into many things surrounding any of the Venus spells. Anyway. But anyway, what was I getting at? Oh, pi. So listen to what she's talking about relating to the full moon. What we're going through right now is kind of listed out in here as well. But I'll just let her go.
And many times I say Neptune is secrets, and Neptune is scandals, and Neptune can do with deceit and denials. But more than anything, I think when we move this sun closer to Neptune on a week or two following, yes, about 2 weeks following, or I don't even think it's that long off, but let's just say 10 days afterwards, there will be so much that's going to be uncovered. I think a lot of it's going to deal with what's out there in space. We're going to make some discoveries. And I've been talking about aliens for a long time.
There it is. There's our Tesla tech ritual and the Emerald City coming apart. The Wizard of Oz. What does all this have to do with anything, huh? What does Batman have to do with it? Isn't Batman a different myth? Nope. That's what we're going to find out here. Let's let her continue for a little bit longer. But guys, it's everything we talk about over in the Discord channel. We have hash channels for every single one of these topics that we're going through tonight. It's V steganography showing us what secrets are going to be revealed and what the context of those are. Pretty cool, huh?
This is the year that it's all going to come about. So you might find some more proddings or information concerning this, for sure. And another thing is this. The moon is going to be in the nakshatra Purva Falguni. That nakshatra is ruled by Venus, and it deals with the comforts of life.
The nakshatra ruled by Venus is where the full moon occurs. How about that, guys? On the one that started on the 22nd, or of course February 27th. The year of V, like just the connections on these significant dates. Oh my gosh, right? Maybe that's why this is such an important year one. Just incredible how this all lines up.
It deals with the need to express oneself. So I'm finding that during this time, you're going to feel the need to really say what's on your mind, to express yourself, to feel more adamant about your beliefs. And this nakshatra can deal with the entertainment field. Very often, entertainers have planets in this nakshatra. So during this time, I believe that more things that we look for in our life for entertainment and relaxation, fun, is going to come about with this. Did you know that the sign Leo is relative to the 5th house because Leo's the 5th sign and the 5th house deals with the house of entertainers?
Leo is the 5th house and the 5th sign. Come on, everybody. Right? I actually didn't draw that conclusion until I watched this video through and I was like, how did I miss that one? Because remember, we're arguing that we're going into the age of Leo. The age of Leo is coming into the equation here, and it's trying to be hijacked and turned 180 degrees. Remember, the only reason we think we're getting the age of Aquarius instead of the age of Leo is because humanity is measuring the beginning of the great cosmic precession clock by the demarcation of the vernal equinox, the V, instead of the autumnal equinox, which is correct. To switch your perspective 180 degrees, of course, places us in the age of Leo, not the age of Aquarius. 5 and 5, the fifth sign ruling the fifth house. Really, really crazy stuff, right? Well, it's actually going to get a little bit crazier here as we go. This is one of the videos I wanted to reference today, actually, but it's not going to be context. The next Gigi Young video actually has to do with her ritual, the ritual of Leo. What the heck happened to it? I didn't pull it up. Well, I'm going to have to pull that one up, aren't I? All right, so this is the in plain sight that I wanted to reference later, but it's Leo, her Leo video that I needed to. Here it is, right here. Right in here. That's where we need to begin that bad boy. So what do we got? March 26th will be the 41 year anniversary of Silver Thursday. Technically March 22nd, but I think this event will begin on Friday the 26th afternoon and continue into March 27th. This is what Neo Jr. says over on YouTube. That's interesting, Neo, because 41, and 14 are very significant to Oz. And the whole, check it out, the whole spell behind Oz. 41 and 14. What does that have to say about anything? What do you have to say about that? That might be a good find there, Neo Jr. 41 year anniversary is March 26th. So is this portal day? Is that what we're saying? Are we going to make a bold prediction? This 41 year anniversary on the same days that Joni is talking about Venus going combust right after that 25th. Ooh, is that our silver explosion day? Man, are we that close? Maybe so, huh? We might be. I have a sneaking suspicion we are. But anyway, here are a couple other things to keep in mind, guys. This is, again, building the case for us having a correct perspective on our age of Leo and not Aquarius. Thought I might have had the graphic up there, but I didn't. Here's Gigi Young. First of all, this is a video that we're not going to get into. Might as well just reference it here. She had a video, the 20-second video in her In Plain Sight series is about myth and encoding meaning. I don't know if she designed it this way, guys, but she knows some stuff too. I mean, she's never exhibited a penchant for numerology, though, necessarily. She's more of a symbology person like me. But is she so in tune that she just made her 20-second video about the very thing that the 20-second letter occludes? Pretty crazy. She talks about Alice in Wonderland in here. She talks about what myth is encoded across different stories and different kids' stories and what's consistent over time to carry our ancient traumas, like blowing up a planet and having to flee here on the moon and land here and fighting with our brothers and genetic abomination experiments happening and the whole human race going against God for a time and. I don't think we have a lot to kind of weed through in terms of a jumbled mess. You know, we need to break through the seclusion. It's just interesting that other people at this time are talking about these things. But I'm gonna link this in the description as well, just in case anybody wants to watch it, because it actually gives a basis for what we are getting at in terms of the overall structure of the mind and how it applies what these symbols are, how the glyph of a V or a lambda can transcribe the memetics across time, and what does that really convey, and why does it matter? Because it's all holding our trauma so we can get over them, so we can sift through our amnesia, right? So this video that she posted is a brilliant representation of how that works in the parable of the story. And that's what's going to tie into Batman tonight, believe it or not, because she's talking about Alice in Wonderland in here. We talk more about Alice in Wonderland on this, or excuse me, Wizard of Oz on our channel than Alice in Wonderland, but Alice in Wonderland also comes into it, right? I mean, I have them right here. Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland. So it's these two myths that pervade over, across time, that is actually, I'm more interested in how they pervade through stories like Dune. And we're going to find that out here too before the video is done. But first, as it relates to Mars and Dune, we need to figure out some more clues as to why, called it again with the V steganography, that we are definitely, in at least in terms of what the research would show us and what has been confirmed through the Binary Research Institute and folks like Sri Yukteswar, we are going into the Age of Leo. This is what it signifies and why it seems like maybe we aren't. Here's what Gigi says about it and how it relates to the goddess.
Known as the Lion from Macedonia. Let's get back to Katy Perry. We can see in Perry's performance that she is
another Super Bowl ritual decode, huh?
Taking on the same position as a lion goddess, especially calling on Ishtar, the Babylonian incarnation. At one point, she places her leg in the exact same position as Ishtar. She is taking the identical position of Ishtar as she is portrayed.
And if those that are watching this don't know, Ishtar is the whore of Babylon, also represented by the lion. It is the V to the lion's lambda. Remember, this is all mirroring, just like we saw in Zenith of the Alphas video as it's encoded with numbers. The spells and counterspells are all of the exact, basically same harmonic, different polarities. And so Katy Perry in the Super Bowl, I think this is Super Bowl 52, the banking collapse Super Bowl. And so, interestingly enough, I didn't ever look at it this way. Gigi brilliantly points it out. I should have gone back, actually, and decoded it's a friggin' lion. Why did I not decode this, right? But she did a brilliant job. And she's right. We've got the whore of Babylon coming in to hijack whatever the sorcerers who cast this spell with Katy Perry thought that they could do with the banking collapse. Remember, Super Bowl 52 was in U.S. Bank Stadium, the Glass Stadium. Glass-Steagall was the act that was repealed by Bill Clinton in 99 that allowed the banks to speculate in the open market, allowed credit default swaps and derivatives to happen. It was the beginning of the end for the banks. Alan Greenspan let this happen as part of the plan to collapse the system. Whether you agree with that or not, that seems to be the case. Alan Greenspan just went along with it because he knew that they would destroy themselves. Give them enough rope to hang themselves, is what Bix Weir has always said about that matter. Like a noose. Glass-Steagall. The Steagalls were the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Eagles in 1943, the year Nikola Tesla died, the year that all the secrets got packed away, the year that they had to combine because World War II was going on, and there was a war to be fought, and there were too few players. This is everything packed into Super Bowl 52, plus this. It's all including the same stuff. So to keep us from knowing, therefore, that the lion is the Christ. Remember the Chronicles of Narnia and all of C.S. Lewis's kids books. There's a reason why he chose the lion, guys. The lion is the embodiment of the Christ consciousness, the Merkaba. So these are things that, if we correctly look at the perspective, the Tale of Two Cities definitely will be the best of times for those that look at it that way, and the worst of times for the people that look at it this way. So there are some two parallel paths stuff in here too. Here's what else she says about it.
In her reliefs. When we are analyzing a ritual, it is important to not only identify the symbol, but also the specific era and location where the symbol was used.
Absolutely. Why?
Because it can indicate the level or phase of consciousness that an occult group is summoning or working with.
That's right. Just like
each
she's doing here.
Each symbol evolves and has a different incarnation in each era as it shapeshifts to express or represent the consciousness of humanity at the time.
Just like the myth carries across time, guys. This is all connecting, right?
Further, Certain time periods are more connected to certain astral deities than others. This means certain incarnations or expressions of occult symbols are more significant to some groups, despite the symbol having many incarnations to choose from. Using the Babylonian Ishtar symbol in a ritual performance is not unusual for the Super Bowl.
Of course not. She shows some other examples of this, goes through Madonna and stuff, not necessarily relevant to us. But here at she actually gives some other examples of the sacred use of the lion that I want to make sure that we use too. Here's some more of this of last year's Super Bowl 54, where Shakira's bound in chains. Remember the devil card, the XV, the hooked X, the devil card, keeping people in bondage.
Punishment, the embracing of taboos and torture are the way to liberation and spiritual power.
This is, of course, what you get if you bastardize the horror of Babylon and go after the reverse energy that you're looking for with the lion. But here's the sacred way it's used.
I want to take some time to highlight that the lion and the goddess is a sacred symbol. It's not evil, and any occult analysis that automatically pins goddess figures like Inanna or Ishtar as satanic is incorrect. Symbols are neutral. It is the practitioner that contributes the defining energy, light or dark, to the symbol.
That is right.
The lion is connected to the age of Leo, and more importantly, one's soul achievements during that age. You will notice that most symbols, especially deities, are associated
Queen of Heaven, Ishtar, planet Venus.
with a planet. This is revealing the pure, higher dimensional rooting of the symbol. Esoterica is unadulterated in the pure planet form or the cosmic form. The cosmic level will always communicate the true nature or essence of a deity or an archetype or a symbol, no matter how the symbols change over time. So, what planet is the goddess lion symbol associated with? Well, it's associated with the planet Venus.
There you go, everybody. Again, I know I already said that, but surprise, surprise.
Venus is depicted as an 8-pointed star and is included with traditional ancient lion goddess imagery, especially in the earlier incarnations that retained more of the previous goddess era. Here is J-Lo in her 2020 Super Bowl performance dancing on the astrological sigil.
There's the Globus Cruciger. We already just picked this one apart, so we're going to fast forward a little bit to corroborate some further stuff at the end here, right at the conclusion. Pretty crazy though, huh? She's not even applying steganography, but there she is. Everybody, by the way, why is there a lion on the cover of The Wizard of Oz? Something to keep in mind about all these things. Narnia, the lion. What's going on with these resets? What's truly going on? I think we know better than most.
The lion goddess is a powerful occult symbol of the feminine. Through this symbol, we can trace the evolution of the feminine consciousness on the planet, and we can see both healthy and unhealthy expressions of it. The lion goddess is synonymous with Venus, comets, and shooting stars. Why
is Venus a comet or shooting star? Because the sun captured it. Remember, everybody? That's why it's related to Oz in the first place, because when the sun came and captured Venus, the spark gaps that connected with the Earth created the Grand Canyon and features like Lake of the Ozarks, or Ozarks if you must, or Lake Travis, or places else that I'm looking at, Palouse Falls in Washington State, that connects with the Snake River. Yeah, there are some other places I'm looking into with that stuff, guys. It doesn't end. I think Venus, and it makes sense. Venus wouldn't have just created one spark gap. There would have been many, but they're peppered everywhere. Gold is in all of these locations too, presumably. But the shooting star, the comet that came from outside our system is all we can say, right?
For this reason, we find meteors as fixtures in temples and spiritual ritual. The feminine is the negative polarity in ritual magic. We can learn to analyze any ritual by checking to see what condition the feminine element of it is in.
There you have it. To analyze the ritual, check the condition what the feminine element is in. Is it correctly ascribed to the negative? Remember, negative isn't like to say bad. Negative and positive are just expressions of charge in the electric realm, right? Positive charge, negative charge. It's an expression. It's an energy expression. So how is it being expressed in the ritual? How is the V situated relative to how it's being portrayed and the intent laden in there? Same thing with the lambda. Is the lambda being used in a way which is in alignment with its natural charge? And of course, we've got the examples of in the cases like with A Clockwork Orange. As we've talked about, the lambda is not in the correct alignment. No. The mind is corrupted. The mind is controlled. Metaphysical man. This is the diagram. The negative female, the positive male. The cup and the sword. Or the dagger, rather, if you really want to get at it. Combine them at their correct polarities, and you get a nice, beautiful Merkaba. Resonate with the heart, with Christ. Boom. Lock it into place. Let that lion's mane grow. That's what you can expect when you put these things together. These are the Hermetic secrets. Why is it significant, again, that the Templars have left this? Because they left it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know who the Templars, even modern-day Templars, truly are. But the steganography is here to tell us these things. In essence, it looks like to wake us up without breaking the prime directive, as I've talked about. Wake us up for what reason? Well, to put us into a bunch into a challenging situation and unlock some strife, because that's the only way that we're going to get to the heart of the matter. No pun intended. The Christ consciousness. So Leo has everything to do with this, everybody. We know this inherently. Leo has everything to do with this. We know that the myths pervading through both of these narratives are of the Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland are hiding something. And that's where the Batman piece comes into play today, at least. And we're not going to go very deep into these, as I said. We're going to close out with Dune. The myth, I'm going to tie it all to Dune, but I'm going to leave you guys hanging a little bit. So on the next Patreon presentation, we can go much deeper into reading all the way through. But I just want to show a couple pages out of this for now and show you that this is very much Wizard of Oz territory. We're talking about this book here being the preamble to The Long Halloween, which was actually an extension of the year one storyline that we talked about and tied together with the last one. But the most important thing about this is that the villains, I showed this last time. Do you guys see the villains on here? You've got the Joker in the middle, but you have the Mad Hatter and you have the Scarecrow. The Penguin also makes an appearance in this. Penguins live in Antarctica. So what you have is more illusion through Batman and connecting through the myths of Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland, both is what I'm seeing now, to carry back really ancient myths of Maya. I'm starting to see that Batman is incredibly complex in its depth in terms of the myth that it carries across. Maybe even more so than Star Wars itself. It is really deep, guys. I'm just like, whoa. When I'm starting to read through all these old Batman comics that I have, I knew I kept them around for some reason. But the myth and the quality of the myth is all latent there. Remember I said in This video here, the Batman in Year 1 2021 Templar Super Bowl 55 reset setting sail video. This is available on Theta and YouTube both now. But it tied what we're going through with the calendrical reset. The Long Halloween was all about a calendar man and the gestation ritual for resetting the calendar and when that would happen and why. How is it that these ancients knew how to calculate these things? They knew the mechanisms by which the earth grew, when the cataclysms would come, because they knew and understood the great cycles. It's no secret. But is that what Batman is showing? And is that what things like Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland are showing? I think so. I think I'm starting to see through the steganography now, and maybe this affects the research in some different direction this year. I don't know yet. But I'm starting to see that the trauma that's held within us all is very much so within our own senses. That's where trauma is held. It's feeling through your physical or your I just even went and got a massage today and got my tension released. I feel awesome, you know? It's like we take all that stuff and pack it in here and we think it's everything. Remember, that's the trick of the senses. That is the Maya. The bat god of the Mayas, the Mayan civilization, more like Olmec or Aztec civilization. The Mayan calendar is rather Aztec, as a lot of archaeologists actually tell you. Maybe I should correct myself there with that. But the bat is central to this. The bat god is central to the reset of all this. The bat virus comes in and wipes everything clean. Are you seeing everything, guys? It's the ritual that's being used, but we also have to see that the Oz and the Alice in Wonderland rituals are also in play. What are they telling us? In this Gigi Young video that's about Alice in Wonderland, she actually goes into more Super Bowl rituals. A 1977 Super Bowl halftime show where Alice in Wonderland and the Electric Light Parade of Disney. So electricity. In 77, all these themes even go back then. Well, there's a costume party at some point that happens in the Haunted Night, which is all about, again, the scarecrow and fear. The three concepts that Batman has to overcome in this are fear, madness, and what are the other ones? It's fear, madness. Madness is number 2. Poison Ivy's in it again, of course, but the clover leaf ritual. I'm not showing any of this stuff on camera because this is, like I said, I'm going to do this in a longer Patreon video next month, or not next month, in a couple of weeks. But the penguin and poison ivy were the ghosts. Ghost was the other one. So it's relating to the metaphysical concepts, and the penguin and ivy are in the end of it. And that's the transition point, remember, to allude to the Long Halloween. So the Cloverleaf, Operation Cloverleaf, and the airborne manipulation of weather. This is all laid out there in the myth, everybody. So that's where we're headed with the research. It's nothing new if you're looking at it from the perspective of what we've already discovered with Oz and Alice in Wonderland and such. We're just picking it apart with Batman now instead of Star Wars in Year 1 and the other stuff. It's crazy to me how intertwined all this stuff is. And of course, if it weren't enough, Dune, right? I've been speculating for some time that Dune would actually be what we can envision Mars to be like now. We've already gone back and looked at the previous videos. I've showed you guys the playlist. Everybody on YouTube now watching at this point is aware that Dune is central to my manner of thinking on things, because as it would be ascribed in the book, fear is the mind killer, and fear is the opposite of resonating with the Merkaba. Batman overcoming fear, madness, and ghosts in this book all factors into this as well. Fear is a mind killer. Batman overcomes fear to actually instill fear, though, in his foes. There's a balancing act to that, remember. So fear as a mind killer. That's what the Muad'Dib Paul in Dune, the main character, describes. But we also talk about the Fremen. And the Fremen, if Mars was a civilization that got blown away and a bunch of people left a bunch of people behind, is there still a remnant? I've always suspected that there would be. The Fremen on Mars were terraformers. We've got these magazines I've covered before. Why is the Martian sky blue? Right? That's kind of bright. Why is the Martian sky blue? Why am I not just doing this? That's why I have the camera set up. Why is the Martian sky blue? And so we're looking at Hubble telescope imagery from Atlantis Rising magazine circa 2017 and 18, showing us that Mars looks like it has water, looks like it has atmosphere. And if that weren't enough, Mars Perseverance rover is now on Mars. And lo and behold, we have a helicopter? We have a helicopter, everybody. A flippin' helicopter that comes as a package. It's a little drone item, but comes as a deployable from the rover. Do you guys smell some deception here that I'm smelling? Because the thing is, they test flighted this. They test flighted this thing on Mars. And it flew. They launched it, and it flew. Why is this significant? Well, if anybody knows the dynamics and the engineering required for a helicopter to fly, you need atmosphere. You can't fly it if you don't have atmosphere. So if this rover is truly on Mars, which I think it is, I don't think it's showing us the correct optics of what it is seeing, but they're just brandishing us with this BS that says, oh yeah, Mars is just this dilapidated, blown away wasteland, but we can that doesn't have an atmosphere and no magnetosphere, and we can't have any weather here or anything like that besides these dust storms. But we can fly helicopters just fine. We can fly helicopters in this atmosphere just fine. Do you guys smell the bullshit? There's some bullshit here. Unless, and this is what I think, unless they told us something of a confirmation of what's going on up there. Is it already terraformed or in the process of a, is it far enough along in a terraforming like process to where the atmosphere is rich enough for something like this to happen? What kind of an infrastructure exists up there, right? That what do the Nazis have to do with this? We've speculated on, we're going to dig deeper in with the patrons on the For All Mankind stuff. The season is unfolding. I've now watched the first 3 episodes. It's airing live every week, and I am keeping up with this plus the new Picard series. Might as well tell you guys this right now. I'm actually for Discord members, we are going to start doing something pretty fun. Instead of me watching a lot of this stuff in my research alone, I'm going to do like movie nights with you guys over on Discord. We're going to start watching For All Mankind and the new series Picard together. I'll put it through the Discord, and we'll have ourselves a private session so we don't run into any issues streaming or anything. But that'll be available for Discord members just as a manner of like nudge if you want to take part in that. Discord server members, that there you go. But there's something that this series at the bottom of it is telling us with the Nazi occupation. That's the other, remember? The other was alluded to in the 3rd episode of this 2nd season again. So we're building a case here that there's something funky on Mars. And this is a really fun analysis that this guy Quinn's Ideas on YouTube does. He's a Dune junkie. He likes fiction books, and so he's one of these guys that kind of like speculates on what would happen if this happened in the universe, or what's the best part of this book, or what do I really think of this character, and people like his analysis. So he's a Dune junkie. Let's see what he has to say about Dune, what happened to Earth in the Dune universe. Because again, when we're looking at the mirroring, Arrakis is more like present-day Mars. Earth is something in this universe, but we're kind of clearly in the solar system, our local system in Dune. It's kind of apparent the whole time you're reading this that you're in our system. And there's an unknown guild that's controlling space. It's a known guild, but it consists of members that needn't be talked about because they're a cabal. They're a cabal more than they're a guild. But there's the mirroring again. The cabal is controlling space and all the passage between the planets. And there's political intrigue. And so let's hear kind of his ideas on this. And then that kind of does it for the evening, guys. We're going to kind of wrap it up from here after. Oh, no, I have to bring it all back around to the silver stuff too. But that'll be the last stuff for us to consider before we close out. But here's Quinn. Remember, drawing corollaries to our own...
The original Dune saga takes place over 20,000 years in our future.
20,000 years in our future, it says. Could it be like Star Wars, though, 20,000 years in our past, considering the mirroring aspect of the V and the Lambda, right? Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, or not so long ago in a galaxy that we're living in now. So was this 20,000 years in the future, I surmise, or 20,000 years in the past? The number needn't matter. It could be in our future or in our past, the way cycles go. And it doesn't necessarily have to be 20,000 years. So don't get too hung up on that, is what I'm saying. When we're looking at this, let's look more into the symbology and metaphor.
Earth is only mentioned a handful of times. According to the Appendix 2, Religion of Dune, the Commission of Ecumenical Translators communed on what is referred to as Old Earth, which was considered a neutral territory. This was shortly after the Butlerian Jihad.
Old Earth. So let's consider a second. There was a jihad that happened. There was an insurrection that happened a long time ago. And Old Earth was the battleground. Could it be, just as a manner of planting a seed, that the planet that beyond Mars was destroyed could be the Old Earth? I've always speculated on this with Dune. Was this planet of convention the same as Old Earth, or the planet that blew up, where people also presumably inhabited?
In Dune Messiah, the face dancer Skytail wonders about something called the Golden Age of Earth. Did Farak, for example, know whence came his measure for this weight of spice? Did he ever think to himself that 1.5 kantar once limited a camel load? Not likely. Farak might never even have heard of a camel, or of the Golden Age of Earth. The Golden Age of Earth is mentioned again by Paul. How much history do you know? Paul mused aloud, studying the shadowy figure beside him. My lord, I can name every world our people touched in their migrations. I know the reaches of Imperial, the Golden Age of Earth. Have you ever studied that? Earth? Golden Age? Stilgar was irritated and puzzled. Why would Paul wish to discuss myths from the dawn of time?
Myths from the dawn of time. Why is he talking about Old Earth and the Golden Age? Well, we have Golden Age as it relates to our precession in the equinox cycle, right? But in this context, this would have been hundreds of thousands of years ago if we're arguing that Old Earth, whatever it may have been called or labeled, it's an attribution that they're giving in this book, perhaps, of the planet beyond Mars that currently is no longer there. It's a big asteroid belt. What was the golden age of this planet, right? Is what I think these books are getting at. due to what I read through the line with the V-steganography.
Skytel assumed that Farrak had likely never heard of Earth, and Stilgar reacted as though Paul spoke of some legend when he mentioned Earth.
A legend, there it is.
In Children of Dune, Leto II recalls Earth in his genetic memory. It gave him a sense of timeless buoyancy to know that few in his universe would recall Chaucer or know any London except the village on Gansarid. St. Thomas was preserved in the Orange Catholic Bible and the Azar Book, but Canterbury was gone from the memories of men, as was the planet which had known it.
So the planet which had known it was now gone. The planet which had known the secrets. You guys starting to see between the set. It's never overtly explained in Dune. It's always a mystery. It's almost like it might be like Dune might be taking place in the downfall of the aftermath of this great war and the political intrigue that drove humanity further into despair type of thing. I think it leads one to wonder. And are we there now? You begin to wonder more.
Leto mentions that Canterbury was gone from the memories of men, just as the planet it was from. For some reason, the Earth seems to be almost entirely forgotten in the Dune universe. And it's not exactly clear why. But is it still around? This question actually is answered in the original Dune saga. In God Emperor of Dune, Leto recalls memories of Earth. This morning I was born in a yurt, at the edge of a horse plain, in a land of a planet which no longer exists.
In the land of a planet which no longer exists. Again, there's that illusion.
Tomorrow I will be born somewhere else, in another place. I have not yet chosen. This morning, though, this life. When my eyes had learned to focus, I looked out at sunshine on trampled grass, and saw vigorous people going about the sweet activities of their lives. Where, oh where, has all of that vigor gone? And in Chapter House of Dune, the Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother Odrade refers to Old Earth as gone. As they continued their walk in the aromatic hollow, Odrade's voice once more became pensive.
And remember, the Bene Gesserit are the goddess representation. They're the serpent faction. They're the druidic Templar representation, the secret society carrying out a prophecy for a purpose of the series,
Each planet has its own character, where we draw patterns of old Earth. Sometimes it's only a faint sketch, but here we have succeeded. She knelt and pulled a twig from an acid green plant, crushing it in her fingers. She held it to his nose. Sage. She was right, but he could not say how he knew. I've smelled that in food. Is that like melange?
They'd never been exposed to sage before. And you have to go into all the symbology of, not symbology, but representation of what sage stands for, what it itself represents. But we're not going to do that today.
It improves flavor, but it won't change consciousness. She stood and looked down at him from her full height. Mark this place well, Miles. Our ancestral worlds are gone. But here, we have recaptured part of our origins.
Mm-hmm.
All of the evidence seems to point to Earth being abandoned at some point by humans.
I have an alternative standpoint on that. As I've already talked about, I think it points to the fact that there's a mirroring thing going on with Dune. And Frank Herbert was a Mason, and so all that stuff is endlessly interesting. But what else is interesting to me is that our friend Mars Anomalies and Beyond, go check his videos out, guys. But his 2 latest videos prove, in my eyes, that there are ancient structures along a lake bed here that are blown away, just like we build along. And then in the dried up lake bed, there are patterned paths carved in the sand that ever since this lake bed dried up, there seem to be new, very organized patterns down here. I think he's circling them. Yeah, he's drawing them. See these paths. You guys can go watch his video, but this indicates to me like the path of how the Fremen walk single file in Dune. Are these single file roads that they use to walk through? I mean, they have to escape the worms in Dune. I don't know if there are worms on Mars. I have no freaking idea. But they do it purposefully, and and the Tusken Raiders in Star Wars do it too, to hide their numbers, right? So go check this video out, and then check his other video out where he seems to have also captured this drone-looking item in the top of, or in one of the pictures of the rover. See, here's the photo, and here is the refraction item that everybody's pointing out. Not refraction, but anomaly. And he goes and analyzes this. Of course, it was maybe strategically let out by NASA. I don't know. He does his typical thing. But when he analyzed this, he pointed at the fact that it looks just like a drone would, with little like protrusions and wings coming out of it. But I actually argue it looks more like an ornithopter. Let me see. Let's see here. Dune ornithopter. If you guys seen in the Dune universe, you've got these things that have wings, and they're kind of designed to have these wings. And there's just artist representations that some of people draw them like this. But the thing is they're a mechanical drone-like thing that people sit in, and the payloads can go in there, and they have the shielding technology on it. It's just part of the ethos of this universe, just to have these ornithopters. But again, he's showing these drones in the sky. Are there ornithopters there? I don't know. But the more and more I look into this, the more and more I watch the stuff that they occlude from us using steganography, the more I assume that's the case. Anyway, why is this all happening to us now, guys? We'll soon find out. Here's a fun one to start closing out on. Vici, remember Vinny Vidi Vici? Sands sells Las Vegas resorts to Apollo. Remember Harvey Dent, Two-Face, in Long Halloween? His nickname was Apollo. This just happened on March 3rd, 33. There's your 33 stand-in. So we've got some more spells hitting I wanted to make people aware of. But more than that, the silver rituals. Of course, Daft Punk blowing up the silver ritual. There's some stuff going on that we need to be acutely aware of. And here's going to be my current analysis on it all for you guys. So we have, let's get rid of that. Start here. Okay. We have the old Silver Eagle being redesigned. We also now have it being redesigned. Well, did I already pull that thing up? Just a sec. Yeah, I did have it. So there it is. That's the first one I want to show. So if you guys recall, I'm sure most of you do, but in the New Jerusalem reset, the whole winter solstice reset, the idea of the monetary transition is revolving around the idea of the redesign of the eagles on the back of the silver. This is the old design. This is the new design. Okay. The old design is an interesting I thought there was going to be like serpent symbology on here. Hopeful speaking, but they didn't go that far. That probably would have freaked the hell out of the population if they started putting snakes on things when most people think that snakes are evil. But slick dissident, a dune drone. Yep, that's right. But there is significance to now that we know what the 2021 reset silver design is going to be. Yes, it has an eagle on it, but it no longer has the spears, only the olive branch. No longer has the spears, no longer has the 13 stars of the Jesuits, Arma Jesuits, domino, powers manifested at age 13, probability alteration. We no longer have the spell of the Arma Jesuits directly on the coin. And we no longer have the configuration of the American Silver Eagle in the shape of the seal, because it also matched the USA seal. Right? Remarkably so. Which is a heraldic eagle. If anybody doesn't, the shape of the seal and the back of the coin is this heraldic eagle. These are Nazi symbols through and through. The heraldic eagle is the classical imperial eagle that you see on crests and stuff. And it's no coincidence that they have made that the case on the back of the silver and the USA seal. The difference in the USA seal is you've got a Merkaba up here. It still is 13 stars, but it's in the shape of a Merkaba. A little bit of a difference. They're hijacking something else. Here, they're hijacking the female energy entirely. Here, they're hijacking everybody entirely because they're hijacking the Merkaba. They're hijacking the male and the female. So remember, the way how we decode that is we go back to our metaphysical man. The reverse is the female, and we're also looking at that being the water. The fire is the upright, the positive. The water's the negative. So there's your goddess ritual. There's your all of mankind slavery ritual on the United States seal. But the heraldic eagle is now taken off, at least, of the U.S. coin. This is actually a good sign if we're looking at the symbolism of things. I don't know what the security measure they're building into these coins is, but the symbology might suggest that we no longer have, or no longer holding the spears, we no longer have the female goddess energy being held down. Can we fly again? We do have the wingspan of the V. And then we also have a remarkable similarity to the Eisenhower silver dollar. The Eisenhower silver dollar with the eagle landing on the moon. It's, as you can see, let me get myself out of the way there. So you can see he's landing on the moon with the olive branch, no V, but you can also see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 stars on that variant. On the new one, no stars at all. But it is a callback to the same coin, as you can see. Look to the moon, guys. Look to the moon. Then see, this is more, the Earth is up here. It's my argument that the Nazis made it to the moon long ago. And we're seeing all of this through the silver reset. Silver is going to explode in price. It's going to explode in lack of availability. And to me, it also signifies that it was going to explode the control structure that we only have opportunity to gain access to our own sovereignty from. That's the trick, everybody. Describe this all along. There's no free lunch here. You've got to make your own decisions for your own health, for your own future, for your own financial wealth, and shouldering these storms. It looks like we're being given the opportunity in a reset that is wiping one of the factions away in favor of one that I guess we're going to have to see and try out to see if that works well for us. This is the proposed back of the new gold eagle. And like I said, it's going to be a fun ride. That's all we've got for now, believe it or not. I am going to leave it there. There's so much more to be said on Dune. on Alice in Wonderland, on the Batman rituals, and how he ties it up. Batman it's just deep. I love it because I'm a huge Batman fan, and we'll probably be watching some Batman flicks over on that Discord server pretty soon, and we'll be expanding on these later on Patreon as well. So I guess I'm going to take that opportunity and thank again my patrons. Thank you so much. This is actually all the $15 tier guys that fit on one screen for supporting the work, helping make it happen. Womp Womp, Surrepturus, Kate Axe, Shaff, S4 Quattro Bob, PNW Gal 777, and J Farmer. Thank you, and thank you to everybody else too over on the Discord server in the community that's helping uncover this stuff on a daily basis. We will continue to do so, of course. Over here, here's our crypto, metals, and investing section, ancient aliens and Earth history, and all of that is accessible to anybody who joins the Patreon server. Not Patreon server, but Patreon joins our patron channel at the $5 level. You can join the Discord channel and join in those conversations. So I've really enjoyed connecting with all the YouTubers again. I'm save this link. You can watch this again, but it won't be archived for you to find later. It won't be searchable, but you can share it. Anybody who's in there watching this with your friends if you want, but it will be archived for the patrons. I'll be doing some shorter form stuff for you YouTuber guys out there for free in the coming weeks as well. But the deep stuff does have a tendency to be over in the community, the V-Cypher community as we call it, over on Discord. So with that, you guys should also over on YouTube start following me over on my Theta page, theta.tv/skullcapsavant. You will always be able to catch my live stream Patreon presentations over there. This is a one-off time that I'm multicasting it to DLive and Twitch and YouTube. I am really leaning into the Theta stuff being the bow of the ship for the channel moving forward, trying to grow that audience. So that's why I'm always going to be doing these live presentations over there for patrons. No matter what, at least you'll be able to catch these if you follow me there. And I think that's kind of it, guys. I don't have too much else for you today without getting into another 2 hour long decode discussion about things. So anyway, that is that. And you can look out for those movie nights in the Discord channel. Please let me know if you have any special requests of where we go first. I've got some ideas. We already have our movie suggestions page going on in there where you guys can chime in. But I do want to start digging into movies that are relevant to their work. Let's try and keep the suggestions to that. And that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Some ideas I have are Babylon 5, X-Files, Vikings, as a series recommendation, but we got to watch Tenet. We have to watch some more Batman stuff, I'm sure. But that'll come. So anyway, thanks everybody. I love you all, regardless of where you're watching this, and looking forward to a new playlist starting here. Thanks a lot.